Ahoy! And welcome to the Boating Hour with Captain Rick. The Boating Hour brings you the latest and greatest essential information about everything that sails, floats, or motors upon the high seas of Southern California. From landlubbers to old salts, there'll be something for everyone. So climb aboard and get ready to sail with Captain Rick.
Ahoy out there, and welcome to the Boating Hour. I'm Captain Rick, and I want to thank you for joining us here on AM 870. Happy New Year to everyone. Hope your holidays were absolutely amazing. Please be sure to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com, and now on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. Thanks to our sponsors for our show today. For a healthy gut, the best probiotic on the market, Livia One Probiotics, natural, organic, and allergen-free. And Raycom Radios, reliable two-way radio communications throughout Southern California without all the inherent problems of other communications, drop zones, dead batteries, and such. I want to wish everybody a happy New Year. I have a VIP guest with me today, Wendy. Thanks for joining the Boating Hour with Captain Rick.
Good morning, Captain Rick. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. Here's our mascot, the Coast Guard teddy bear. He protects children when they sleep at night. I want to begin this show with reaching out to everybody that's suffering from the fires and the smoke. You know, Wendy, I was talking to a CERT person that helps with the fire department. They said one of the things that people forget with these terrible fires is the smoke inhalation could be just as dangerous if you're in a neighborhood. That's very dangerous stuff. But I tell you, that was really shocking. 4 fires, tens of thousands of people displaced. It didn't get to the marina, though. I think it stopped in Santa Monica. Never heard fires in Santa Monica.
I was at the marina last night, by the way, at 2 o'clock in the evening, knowing that this wind event will go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, tying down the boat, checking cover, so on and so forth. And most of the boats were covered with ash even at that time already.
No kidding. So it's the ash. You know, the last big fires we had a few years back, the ones out in the valley and Moore Park and stuff, boats were covered, you know, not just Westlake, but in Marina del Rey. And, you know, they wanted you to clean the boats without using a hose to wash them in the water. I don't know how they did that. So I know that's a big deal, but it's absolutely, it's so tragic. You know, the Highlands, Palisades Highlands, what 18, 20,000 people, people in Topanga Canyon. Of course, it jumped into Pacific Palisades, the Santa Monica Canyon, and then up in Santa Monica, which to me is really, it's tragic. So I don't know how many people, but boy, I tell you, that's disrupting a lot of lives out there. And I think we're going to get a little rain coming in.
Let's be in good thoughts for the rain. To the listeners, if you are a victim of fire or displaced by fire, please consider that many of the boats in Marina del Rey are privately owned. Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club is going to reach out to the boating community and to the safety community. If there are persons that need temporary housing for a couple of nights, who need just a place to lay their head, a safe place, please contact Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club. I'll be contacting our bridge and board so that we can reach out and provide for our members and people in the community who've been displaced. So Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club, Jay Nager is our Commodore, and we just want to support the people in the community that are having challenges at this time.
You can always reach out to Captain Rick at theboatinghour.com. Or Wendy, how do they get a hold of you or Santa Monica Windjammers? What's the website over there? smwyc.org, is that right?
smwyc.org. You can reach me at csmma.org, California Sailing Merchant Mariner Academy. I'm online and available. Shoot me an email, give me a call. The information is at csmma.org.
Wait, CSMMA. Are you an MMA fighter, Wendy?
No. A lot of people confuse me with that. California Sailing Merchant Mariner Academy, formerly California Sailing Academy, is an organization designed to assist people towards on-the-water instruction and also towards U.S. Coast Guard captain's licensing. So that's why we are a Merchant Mariner Academy, because we provide Merchant Mariner licensing for individuals who want to get their captain's license and move into professional sailing career.
By the way, I had a Merchant Marine on, a young lady that was a boater, got her captain's license, went in the Merchant Marines and serving. And there's an academy. I talked all about the academy, and her father came on my show as well. And I didn't know that a lot of people didn't know the Merchant Marines exist. So that should be a whole show. I'm going to talk to you about getting someone on to just talk about the Merchant Marine Academy. Well, let's talk real briefly about your history, and then let's talk a little bit about the club, because you were a COVID Commodore, and you were 2 years Commodore at the Windjammers Yacht Club.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit how you got into sailing, because you are I would say you are one of the top instructors, male or female, in Southern California. You train instructors. So let's talk about how you got into sailing and how you got into being an instructor.
So, got into sailing. My father wanted to move into the boating community. He was a powerboater, never sailed. His friend had a Sabot, which is a small 8-foot sailboat, brand new out of the wrapper, brand new boat smell. My uncle and my father and I went to Mother's Beach. My uncle's lesson, 30-second instruction, was always push the stick, which is the tiller which drives the boat, towards the sail. Being 11, of course, I didn't pay any attention, and I pulled the stick away from the sail. The boat caught a gust of wind. It immediately capsized. I was so thrilled. I was in the water. The boat was upside down in the mud. And 2 weeks later, I went and bought my own boat, and that was the get-go. I still hearken back to that.
Wow. What kind of boat was it? What was your first boat?
It was an 8-foot Sabot, and I actually still have one on top of my boat right now.
Excellent. So your first boat, what was it?
My boat was a Sydney Sabot made out of wood.
Oh, a Sydney Sabot. I am familiar with Sydney Sabots.
Yes. And my father eventually purchased a powerboat. We were in Port of Los Angeles. The joke was that I would argue with tugboats and large delivery boats, big ships and container ships. And eventually my absolute joy was to sail out of Angel's Gate from the backwaters, which was about a 6-hour cruise in an 8-foot boat. So I was out of control. It was fun. Oh, my
goodness. I once took I think it was a Cal 20 to Catalina with no running lights, thinking we were going to get home by dark. And, of course, it took a little longer in the Cal 20 than it did in my friend's powerboat. And we got stuck in Catalina, and parents were looking for us. And I remember that. I must have been, I was a scout, so I was a young teenager. And got in a lot of trouble, and then started taking some classes at the old Windjammers Yacht Club. And it's now Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club. Let's continue a little bit about your entry, and then let's talk about you being at the Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club, because, Wendy, I've said this many times. When someone's on the board and they get recognized, get awards, or they're helping the club, I congratulate and thank them. When they become Commodore, I give them my condolences, because it is not just a full-time job. You're doing wonderful stuff and getting recognition. You field all the complaints, and there's so much to do, and there's all kinds of things that people take for granted. So what was it like? What was it like being a Commodore 2 years in a row? But let's finish with your history.
So continuing on, in my early 20s, I purchased a Columbia 22, which was a boat that was used by American Sailing Association. Actually, it was a model that we used for instruction. And I thought that boat was the Queen Mary. I sailed it to Catalina many, many times, down to San Diego, took it down to Ensenada, Todos Santos Island as a long journey, and then eventually went north and wound up in the boat in Morro Bay. So at this point, I didn't realize that we didn't have navigation equipment. We didn't have VHF radios. Sometimes the outboard worked. So it was actually being in the challenge of sailing, and we had a watch and a chart and a pencil, and off you went.
I can't do charts on a boat. It gets me dizzy. I get sick. And I got to have somebody with me that's a good navigator, but I can't go down below and start looking at charts. That's trouble with me. I like being on top. I like the wind. Yeah, that's a tough thing, navigation. Do you teach navigation classes too?
I do. I actually teach for the University of Southern California as part of their nautical science program. I'm an on-the-water nautical science instructor. And the beauty of navigation is, especially if we use paper and pencil navigation, which I know most of you are, using technology and equipment, which requires batteries and electricity. But the beauty of paper and pencil navigation is you can do it before, you can order your charts before. It gives you a chance to look forward to your adventure, where you're going, checking your weather, doing your calculations, so that you have that information at hand in the cockpit when you're sailing.
I can do that. I can prepare ahead of time. I've taken classes on learning how to use a sextant.
There you go.
So, which is really exciting because I like having the equipment. I actually, at Willie, at the Marina del Rey Historical Society, bid on a sextant that was donated. Beautiful. It's a centerpiece on my kitchen table. So I've got a sextant from them at one of their fundraisers. So I talk a lot about them, and I'm going to talk more about that. I got to, before I forget, every year we promote in May, we promote the Torrance Armed Forces Parade. So I want to remind everybody, coming up in April and May, we're going to be talking all about the Armed Forces Day Parade in Torrance on Armed Forces Day weekend, and then the following week, Fleet Week, at the Battleship Iowa. So that's Memorial Day weekend. So we're going to have some guests coming up. Last year, the featured branch was the Space Force. So I've convinced the new commander on base to come in on the show as well, and we're going to have all kinds of good stuff coming up. Okay, let's get back to you. Being the COVID Commodore in 2 years in a row, and you must have been so busy. Tell us what it, first of all, I want to mention about yacht clubs. You have reciprocal privileges, which is my favorite thing. You can travel anywhere. They roll out the red carpet for you. I've always mentioned when I do that, I'm treated like royalty. I come back to my own club, and people don't know my name, and they don't even know who I am. But I go to other clubs, and they roll out the red carpet. I do a Burgee exchange. And the other thing about yacht clubs, you don't have to be, the myth is when you're a member of a yacht club, you're a millionaire with a big boat, and that's not the case at the Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club. All kinds of activities, from Aaron running the paddleboard group to people learning how to sail and the wonderful race committee. Every year I participate with the juniors program for the Super Bowl regatta. So tell us about the Windjammers, Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club, and you being Commodore.
So I came up the bridge and board. I was invited to become a director in 2015. I moved up to the bridge and board positions, and I was served as Commodore in 2019. We were planning opening day so that I would have an opening day ceremony. And 4 days before opening day, of course, we were shut down by COVID. The interesting concept at Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club, I refer to them in a beautiful way as the Rubby Dub Yacht Club, because we're not the elitist yacht club. We're made of community members, senior members. We have a fabulous youth program. We have instruction. We have a Duffy. We have racing. We have parties and fun and events.
Wait. You got a Duff? The club has a Duffy now?
The club has a Duffy available for our club members, and we have actually Duffy instruction, so you can come and take lessons on how to drive a Duffy safely.
That's exciting. I'm very close up in the Ventura Harbor and Westlake to Paradise Boats, and they sell, repair, and maintain Duffys. But I didn't know we had a Duffy.
We have a Duffy.
That's exciting. We have to go on a cruise around the Duffy. I'll make sure my blue blazer fits me. And we'll look real good to represent. So let's get back to the Windjammers, because they have so much activity. I think it's the best position in all of Marina del Rey, overlooking the Burton Chase Park. And, of course, you can see the channel. And when they have the concerts, of course, you got a bird's eye view to the great fireworks. I think it's the best club in Marina. I love it.
I find that this club is the best fit for me. It has all of the things that, for me as a sailor, for me as a community member, for me as an educator, Santa Monica Windjammers has it all. And one of the beauties of Santa Monica Windjammers is that we have a social committee. We have on and off the water community events. We have films. We have races. We have parties. We're having since you mentioned it, the Super Bowl regatta It's not a regatta. We're actually doing a Super Bowl cruise February 7, 8, and 9. We're inviting our club members. We're sailing from Marina del Rey down to Redondo. We're being hosted by Redondo by King Harbor Yacht Club, and we're going to sail down there, spend Friday night, Saturday night there, sail back, and come to the club for celebration Sunday afternoon to come watch the Super Bowl with our other club members. So
That's
lots of fun.
exciting. The Super Bowl, what sport is that again?
I don't know. I'm a sailor.
What teams play in that? The Super Bowl?
Don't know that.
Bowling?
Who is it, Josh? Who's playing? Who's up? Who's going to be in the Super Bowl this year?
Definitely the Kansas City Chiefs. You just can't get past them. They always find a way to win. Even when they're behind, they always manage to get ahead. The other team, it's anybody's guess.
Hey, what about the Raiders and the Rams? Are they any chance they're going to make it with tickets of Raiders and season tickets being $1 million now?
Well, the Raiders are out of it. Were terrible this year. The Rams are in the playoffs, however, so be looking out for them.
Okay, exciting news. Football. Well, I'm too skinny and short to play football.
I would like to personally thank the NFL at this juncture. One of the reasons that I am such an excellent sailor is because I do not delve into football. So when the football games would come on, make the sandwiches, put out the party, get everybody set up, ready to go, drive to the marina, and then sail. So Thanksgiving and New Year's and all those football games, thank you, NFL. I became a single-handed sailor, and I'm pretty good at it.
Well, my Al Bundy story is I was so little and so light. I was a receiver. I played football. But in the beginning of games, when they didn't know our team, no one guarded me because they thought I was too little. And so I scored a lot of touchdowns in the beginning of every game I ever played, and then didn't grow big enough and strong enough to play any kind of college ball. But yeah, I am a football fan. It's an exciting sport, and it's different today than it is. Of course, the athletes with their huge, But sailing is exploding because we're going to see in the Olympics in 2028, sailing is coming here with all kinds of new boats. I'm kind of sad they knocked out the Star class. It was a 100-year class and at one Olympics, I can't remember which one it was, the oldest and the youngest sailors were a team on the Star boats. And they sailed that. So I'll be paying a lot of attention. I have someone from the Los Angeles Yacht Club going to talk about some of the clubs that are participating now, getting ready for the Olympics. And a couple different organizations going to come on. We've got a guest coming on, going to talk all about not only Transpac, but some of the international sailing. So we're going to talk all about that in America's Cup. So that's coming up. And, of course, Armed Forces Parade, we're going to talk about that. We've got all kinds of great guests. Last week, our New Year's show was Bart Hall. And Bart Hall, the Hall boat shows are coming January, February, and March. So they're going to be in Long Beach, and then there's going to be an all-boat show in Pomona, and then, of course, San Diego. So we'll be there. Coast Guard Auxiliary will be there with a booth. So we're going to talk more about what's coming up with the Hall shows next week. So that was a wonderful guest. He was my New Year's show. Bart Hall is an amazing guy, and he's kept a legacy. His father was Fred Hall. He started in 1947, and Bart grew up sailing and camping with his dad, so he's kept that legacy alive. So I really like the Hall shows, and they're growing. They were locked down for 3 years. 3 years they had no shows, so they've had to rebuild. I think COVID affected everybody. But, Wendy, the biggest problem, I think, with boating is all the small boat manufacturers were here. Newport Beach and in Anaheim and Costa Mesa. There were several dozen boat manufacturers. They're all gone. And small boating, dinghy sailing and small boats, to me, is exciting. I like the small boats. But you're a cruiser. Tell me about, the cruising community, places you've gone, and what it takes to properly outfit a cruiser boat to take the long trips.
So I am a cruiser racer. I do it all. I started on small boats. If you want to become a quality sailor, start on a small boat. Small boats teach you faster. Keep up with small boats. It keeps up your skills. Preparing a boat for cruising, my suggestion is that you all attend a U.S. Sailing Safety at Sea Seminar. I'm hosting one at Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club, April 26th and 27th. And you can find out the information at csmma.org. Look up the information. The beauty of the Safety at Sea seminars is it informs us on equipment, technology, how to be safe, fires, medical emergencies, how to sail effectively, how to sail efficiently, plotting courses, electronics. It's just a plethora of information on the Saturday of how to prepare your boat for a long-distance cruising event. And then on the Sunday, we actually do these events. We set off flares. You hop into the water. You get in your life jackets. You crawl into a life raft. You work with storm trysails and emergency equipment and life slings. We actually put you in the water and hoist you with a life sling. So it's a combination of not only academic and informational learning, instructional learning on the Saturday, but also let's do the sport. Let's be in that. And that's one of the amazing benefits of the Safety at Sea seminars. And they're all around the United States. Anybody, by the way, who's doing Transpac, and I did Transpac in 2019, and the delivery back. So I did the race and the delivery.
Oh my goodness, my worst experience.
60% of all crew members are required to renew their Safety at Sea certification every 5 years. So we encourage not only our racers, but also our cruisers to take advantage. And the April 26th, 27th event that you can find out about on csmma.org is the last Safety at Sea seminar before boats sail away for Transpac.
God, that's another every 2 years. Transpac. Were you in the race when we had the unfortunate sinking and Pyewacket Disney's boat went and rescued them? Was that the Transpac you were in?
That was the Transpac I was in. Bruce Brown, who is one of the leading proponents of Safety at Sea for U.S. sailing, was actually on our boat along with myself as crew and was a huge supporter of the Pyewacket vessel and Roy Disney for his absolute heroism in rescuing the members of OEX. So
we've got to talk at length on that as we come into the end of the show. You know, Wendy, we barely scratched the surface. Got so many questions for you. I want to learn a lot more about the instruction, the teaching that you do. And could you come back next week? Could we get you for a second session?
I would be thrilled to come back. I'm so happy.
That would be exciting because we just barely started and we're already coming to an end. Again, I want to ask people that if you are displaced, if you're one of the people suffering from these tragic fires, you can reach the Captain Rick at theboatinghour.com. Or, Wendy, how do they get a hold of you or the club if someone needs a place to, if they're, out of their house, if they've been affected by these fires?
Santa Monica Windjammers.org. You can reach us or call Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club. Again, our Commodore is Jay Naker. We're going to put together a relief event for victims of the fires. I can be reached through csmma.org. If anybody's in need of assistance, if the boating community can reach out. We had the honor of singing for Holly Mitchell for the boat parade at Marina del Rey. And so we're meeting with Holly Mitchell Thursday evening. If people are in need of assistance on the west side, please reach out to the boating community. We're here to support the members that are near the water in their time of need.
I'd love to get Holly Mitchell on the show and talk about Marina del Rey. It's a great place. It's an unincorporated city. Of course, Janice Hahn was our supervisor, and before that, Don Kanabi. And Marina del Rey's got a special place in everybody's heart. People come from all over the world to have their seminars and their clinics here just to be at Marina del Rey. It's a wonderful, wonderful spot. So csmma.org, Wendy, and that does not stand for mixed martial arts. You're not in the cage. So maritime... what is it again?
Merchant Mariner Academy.
Merchant Mariner Academy. CS, Merchant Mariners Academy.org. And, of course, Santa Monica Windjammers. Get a hold of them. Or Captain Rick at theboatinghour.com. Wendy, we're going to have you coming on next week. I want to thank you for coming on the show today, and thanks for committing to being on the show next week. As always, we're so very fortunate to have such wonderful and exciting guests. So I do want to thank our in-studio guests today. Let's not forget the Coasties. Protect protecting our waters, America's lifesavers and guardians of the sea. A lot coming up with the Coast Guard Auxiliary. We're going to be talking about the reserve this time. We're going to talk a little bit about the coasties that are in the reserve and the businesses that employ the reservists. So that's coming up on a future show. So remember, if you do it right and follow the guidelines and the safety precautions, there's no place like being out on the water in the fresh air and sunshine in beautiful sunny Southern California. Here at the Boating Hour with Captain Rick, we cover everything that floats motors and sails from San Diego to Santa Barbara. And Raycom radios, reliable two-way radios throughout Southern California. We'll talk about the seminars we're going to be doing with them. And keep your emails coming. And Wendy back on the show next week. This is Captain Rick saying ahoy at Fair Winds to all.
Thank you.